In one of our earlier videos, we discussed Estonia's choice of an assault rifle from American manufacturer LMT. But what we didn't discuss was how one of the losing bidders, Sig Sauer, refused to accept the results of the competition. And since there was a good deal of interest in our video covering H&K's dispute of the Finnish-Swedish decision to go with Sauer rifles without a competition, we thought Sig's dispute with Estonia would be interesting to cover as well. So let's get started. To understand why this tender mattered so much, let's quickly review Estonia's situation going into the rifle competition. For decades, the Estonian Defense Forces relied on two legacy platforms, the Israeli IMI Galil, used by the 1st Infantry Brigade, and the AK-4, essentially a locally licensed copy of the Heckler & Koch G3, used by the 2nd Infantry Brigade. By the mid-2010s, however, they were not just old, they were increasingly out of step with modern NATO standards, accessories and ammunition logistics. In 2016, Estonia officially began planning a full replacement. It was no small endeavor. The country was to procure a new standard-issue assault rifle in 5.56 by 45mm NATO and a designated marksman's rifle in 7.62 by 51mm NATO for its defense forces. Under the planned framework agreement, an initial batch of around 11,000 rifles would be acquired between 2018 and 2021, with an option for a further 18,000 by 2024. The procurement value was capped at 75 million euros. This was, by any measure, a generational rearmament program and one of Estonia's most significant armament contracts of the decade. Estonia's Centre for Defence Investments issued its tender and by August 2017 had received a whopping 14 submissions from manufacturers across the globe. 9 were selected for initial testing, with a shortlist that included rifles from Heckler & Koch of Germany, Colt Canada, Fabryka Broni Łucznik of Poland, Česká Zbrojovka of the Czech Republic, and Israel Weapon Industries. From the United States were bids from Sig Sauer Incorporated, Lewis Machine & Tool Company, and Patriot Ordnance Factory, while a joint offer was put forward by Sauer and Beretta. Testing continued through early 2018, but one competitor, Patriot Ordnance Factory, was excluded when its rifle shipment arrived late. 4 companies then remained in active contention as shooting trials got underway in March 2018. From those trials, 3 names emerged as the definitive finalists. Sig Sauer entered 2 rifles, one for each role being procured, the MCX in 5.56 by 45mm for the standard infantry rifle requirement, and the SIG 716 G2 DMR in 7.62 by 51mm for the designated marksman rifle role. Heckler & Koch brought the tried and tested HK416 family with its 417 for the DMR role, and Lewis Machine & Tool Company, or LMT, entered with its MARS system, the Modular Ambidextrous Rifle System. The evaluation methodology was straightforward. The shooting test conducted in March 2018 accounted for 10% of the overall score. The guaranteed round count across the weapon's life cycle contributed 20%, the length of the weapon's useful life 30%, and price carried the greatest single weight at 40%. Crucially, these shooting tests have demonstrated that the accuracy and precision of all 3 weapons met the minimum requirements with no significant performance differences between them. Thus, cost and life cycle value would be decisive factors. And then on December 4, 2018, Colonel Rauno Sirik, director of the Estonian Centre for Defence Investments, declared that the offer submitted by Lewis Machine & Tool Company was the most successful tender in the procurement. LMT's offer stood at 22.7 million euros. Sig Sauer had bid 27.6 million, nearly 5 million more, and Heckler & Koch came in at 45.5 million euros, roughly double LMT's price. In the overall evaluation, LMT achieved an extraordinary 99.3 points out of 100, leading across every weighted category. With price and life cycle cost accounting for 70% of the score and all 3 rifles meeting the accuracy threshold, LMT's value proposition was simply too attractive to disregard. However, Sig Sauer, acting through its Estonian representative Bristol Trust, was not going to simply accept its loss. On December 18, 2018, just 2 weeks after the announcement, Bristol Trust lodged a formal challenge with Estonia's Public Procurement Dispute Settlement Committee. Sig Sauer's challenge was quite substantive. It listed 26 separate claims of alleged procedural breaches. Among the most detailed allegations was the question of what testing equipment had actually been used. The challenge also cited insufficient records as to whether the weapons were tested with the specific Magpul and Blackhawk straps that appeared in LMT's offer documentation. Sig Sauer also alleged that LMT had been permitted to change its bid after the deadline for submitting samples, that evaluation criteria had been altered after the deadline, and that the bidders had not been treated equally throughout the process. The dispute committee investigated all 26 claims. Most were not upheld. However, the committee did find that the documentation of the weapons verification process at LMT's factory in Illinois contained inaccuracies, specifically that a non-commissioned officer who had participated in the August verification visit had written to the commander of the EDF noting that some issues during testing had not been properly recorded in the protocol. And so in January 2019, the committee invalidated the original decision awarding the contract to LMT. An ECDI spokesperson told the Baltic News Service, although most of the claims made to the Dispute Settlement Committee were not proven and the procurement has not been cancelled, it is too early to say what the next steps will be in said matter. At this point, we can say that the products offered by Lewis Machine and Tool Company meet the requirements of the Estonian Defence Forces. LMT would then respond by submitting additional information to address the documentation concerns. And then on February 8, 2019, the Procurement Committee reinstated LMT as the successful bidder for the second time. You'd think that would allow Sig Sauer to move on, but you'd be wrong. LMT's reinstatement did not end the fight. In late February, Sig Sauer filed a second challenge with the Procurement Dispute Committee. This time, the focus was on the conduct of the drop test, specifically whether the buttstock and red dot sight had been attached to the weapon during the test, and what damage, if any, those components had sustained. The ambiguity meant the committee could not fully establish the facts. Despite this, the committee rejected the second Sig Sauer appeal on March 11, 2019. Commenting on all the controversy, Colonel Sirik responded publicly, saying, "When it comes to carrying out tenders, there are very specific rules in place that the committee must follow. Neither the committee nor the state can make decisions based on emotions or the opinions of individuals. Both the verification and the test shooting carried out in Estonia indicated that the weapons meet the requirements set by the EDF." Did Sig back down after this? Nope. Having exhausted the procurement committee route, the company took its case to the courts. On March 21, 2019, Sig filed a complaint directly with the Tallinn Administrative Court, seeking the full annulment of the Centre for Defence Investment's decision to award the contract to LMT. This time, objections centred on alleged breaches of the terms and conditions of the public tender. The court responded quickly and on March 25 granted Sig Sauer's parallel request to suspend the signing of any contract with LMT for the duration of the legal dispute. Citing public interest and reservations about the quality of the tender procedure, the court blocked the deal from being concluded while the case was reviewed. The court rejected the argument that urgency over the age of Estonia's existing rifles should override the review process. According to ERR, the judges noted that had the need for new firearms been truly urgent, the procurement could have been announced significantly earlier than it was. Nonetheless, it was on May 3, 2019 that the Tallinn Administrative Court rejected Sig Sauer's complaint and no further appeal was made by the company. With the legal challenges resolved, the procurement moved swiftly to conclusion. On May 16, 2019, LMT officially announced the award. Kusti Salem, Departmental Director at the Estonian Ministry of Defence, marked the occasion by saying, "For our regular troops as well as for our reservists, the rifle is the most crucial weapon, and with the contract signed today, the Defence Forces will be getting new generation rifles which are accurate, ergonomic, reliable and modern." The initial contract covered 16,000 rifles, a mix of the 5.56 by 45mm Mars L assault rifle and the 7.62 by 51mm Mars H designated marksman rifle. As we already discussed in our previous video, the rifles entered Estonian service under the designation R20 Rahe, Rahe meaning hail in Estonian. Deliveries took place through 2020 and 2021, with the total procurement of 18,340 pieces completed by the end of 2023, equipping the Defence Forces, the Defence League, and the Police and Border Guard. Rifles were shipped with suppressors from GSL technology and initially Vortex optics, but this was later supplemented by hollow-sun sights. The Estonian rifle competition is yet another case study highlighting the struggles of modern defence procurement, demonstrating how the world's biggest arms companies compete not just on the range, but in the committee room and the courtroom. Sig's battle saw 3 separate legal interventions across 3 different bodies, all within the space of 4 months. Ultimately, however, the technical and financial merits of LMT's bid proved durable. So, what do you think of the disputes from Sig Sauer? For the Estonian service members watching, would you have preferred rifles from H&K or Sig Sauer instead? Or perhaps one of the earlier bidders? Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment.